Hello and thanks for watching this Cloud9 ERP Solutions video and subscribing to our channels. In this video, we're going to talk about the new Amazon Commerce Connector in Acumatica. And this will be an option that will be slowly rolled out to customers that are willing to try it out in its new form. So it's currently in a pre-release beta form, but we're here to try it and test it out and give you feedback. So right here you can see under Commerce Amazon stores, I have no store set up. If I go into my Amazon Seller Central, search for Acumatica, and you'll see there's one link here talking about simplify business operations with apps. Click on that. And what you'll notice here is a post about all the different types of apps where you can integrate. If you look down here, you can see Acumatica. Click on that. And once you go into that app, you'll have this Authorize Now button where you can click on it. And then that'll take you to a screen where essentially you'll have all these authorization rights. You'll click on I authorize Amazon to provide Acumatica Cloud ERP with my selling partner account information. You'll click on Sign Up. And at this point, you want to make sure that your Acumatica instance is available. So we'll click Yes here. Here's going to be our partner ID, our region, our marketplace. Click Next. Here's where you're going to put your URL. So we'll paste that there. And then your tenant login name. Now your tenant login name is the name, not the ID. So on the sales demo, it's typically company. And then the store name in Acumatica, so you can reference it there. And then you'll click Connect. But after this, we need to go into our Acumatica Amazon store and click the Authorize button. This establishes a full connection. It creates some records in the background. And if we click over here, and click Confirm. And then we go back in. This will complete the process, and you'll see the seller partner ID and everything. So here are all the different entities that we can import and export from and to. So the first one is product linking only. So what that does is it goes to Amazon and it pulls down all the potential products that you should have in your system. And it's a linking only, meaning it's not going to create anything. It's going to validate. So if you don't have those products in Acumatica, you'll need to create them. Otherwise, any orders or invoices that'll come in will fail on import because you don't have those item codes to be added to the detail lines of those documents. Product availability will send your product information over to Amazon so that it knows how much you have in stock. Sales orders are fulfilled by merchant. So the Amazon customer places the order, and instead of Amazon shipping it out, which is FBA, instead you will ship it out. So that's fulfilled by you, the merchant. And then marketplace fulfilled order, when you import that in, that's where you're bringing in essentially an invoice. So Amazon's letting you know that these are the sales. You've already shipped the product to Amazon. Amazon's sending it out the door. Sales invoice is obsolete. That's an old entity that Acumatica used to use because it used to bring in and actually import invoices. Now it's importing order with an invoice type. So that's essentially the SI order type. Here's your payment information. All the fees that have nothing to do with the payment, but you're still paying for it anyway. You're paying Amazon in order to sell those orders. And then, of course, we're exporting out the shipping information so Amazon can report back to the customer what's going on with their product and when the order will get there. So if we turn this stuff on, we'll turn this one on and this, and we turn the sales order on, and we'll put payment non-order fees and shipment, and marketplace fulfilled order. We'll check that also. Now, if we click save, you get an error message. That's because we need to set up these order settings. So the first thing is the order type. The order type for seller fulfilled order type needs to be something along the lines of FM. FM is in our sales demo. The order template is SC. So when you're going through your order types, if we go in, and you take a look at the FM order type, again, the order template is SC. You should have that in your list. But the big thing is this will not work, or you won't see it under this listing unless you have protect personal data on. Now, in order to do that, you need to install a certificate in Acumatica to be able to protect personal data. In order to ensure Amazon doesn't lose control of the data, they don't want all the shipping and the customer information to be out there for export. They want to own that data. So that's why, for example, if we go back to entity settings, you don't see customers here. We're not importing customers. We're importing orders with all the ship address information needed in order to ship that out to the customers. So first you need to go over to certificates. So we go to encryption certificates. We add a record. And after we took that IIS self-signed certificate, we exported it from our web server or whatever we get IIS from. We exported it to some folder. We create this record. We click plus. We click the test certificate. When we export, we put a password in there. So we'll put in the name of the certificate and that password. And then we click over here on the attachment and we drag and drop the file that we exported from our IIS server where we created the self-signed certificate. Once that's done, we go over to replacement certificates and we select the certificate here and we run replace. You run that, it'll take a minute or so. Then you can go back to your order types and check off protect personal data. Now you need to do that for this as well as IN. IN is the invoice we're going to use for fulfilled by Amazon. Now if we go back and we go to our order settings, we can select our fulfilled by merchant order type, and we could select IN, and we could save. Now we also need to select a shipping price item. This is for your Amazon fulfilled orders. So if we go in, you can create any item you'd like, but in this case, I've created a ship item. So now we'll go into preparing and processing data. Under the Commerce Workspace, you can see that Acumatica has put a lot of the common things in this window. So again, if you're familiar with BigCommerce or Shopify, you'll see the BigCommerce stores, the Shopify stores here. We already went through the Amazon stores, and we can go back and look at some of those preferences. And in order to move data back and forth, we have this prepare and process data. And we go into prepare data. That's the first step. You got prepare and then process. So over here, you can see the different prepare options. So we talked about this and all these different entities and what they do. But you can check off the entity you want to prepare. Notice that the schedule is here. So you can schedule this to occur once an hour, once a day, as you need. Now again, with the product linking, you have your item set up first in Amazon, and then you need to create it in Acumatica. So what you could do is you can export the SKUs and the descriptions and import them into Acumatica. Now, if we go to inventory and we create a new record for receipts and we add our item, and let's say we put a couple in stock. We remove the hold, release, and then we go back to prepare data. This time we'll check off product availability. And we'll click prepare. And you could see ready to process. You already have a quantity 1 there. If we go over to process data, You could see the record that it wants to process for the update of the product availability. If I go back to Amazon Seller Central and I go in, you can see it says quantity 2 available. If I go back to process data and I process all, there's only that one record. And now we close. We go back to Seller Central and we refresh. You can see I now have 4 in stock. That added the 2. So it updated the Amazon Seller Central, telling Amazon that I have more quantities. So again, as you purchase and you receive product into stock, you use Acumatica, you leverage Acumatica for the inventory planning and the ability to keep things on hand, reorder points and stuff. That will automatically create potentially purchase orders in Acumatica, and then when you receive them, Amazon will know about it. These are all for fulfilled by merchant. Now, if we go to Amazon and we search for the item, and we scroll down and find our item, you'll notice Amazon tells us we only have 4 left in stock. We have free delivery for Thursday, March 28th. And if I check out with this, we'll place our order. If we go over to Manage Orders, you can see my orders here, and it's pending. It's awaiting payment verification. Now, after refreshing, we take a look again. We can see that this order is now in the order status of unshipped. Prior to that, we tried to look for that record in Acumatica and sync it, but it wasn't available to us, which tells us that a pending order status, where the payment, we're awaiting confirmation of it, will not be queued up for Acumatica to download. So let's go over to Prepare Data. We'll check our sales order entity. We'll click Prepare. And now you can see under Sales Order, we have 1 ready to process. Now we can go over to Process Data, and we'll see it there, that 1 record, or we could simply click on this number 1. So here we can see the entity, it's the sales order, our store. We could see the external ID, that's the order number at Amazon Seller Central. If I click on it, then it brings us into Seller Central and it shows us the order. Now, if I go back to Process and check this and click Process, I get an error message. And why is that? If we hover over the message, we can see what the problem is. The order could not be imported because the standard store shipping method is not mapped to a ship via code. So let's click Close on this. Let's go to Commerce. Let's go into our Amazon store. And under Order Settings, we can see our Ship via codes to carriers and ship via codes to carrier service. And that we set up before, but if we go to ship settings, you can see the store shipping zone, the store shipping method, and the delivery method here. So if we go down and let's say we pick FedEx Ground, we'll pick a shipping zone and we save it. We go back to process orders, and now we have our record. If you expand this, you'll also see that it was successfully processed. If we go over to sales orders, we can see our order here. It came in as an order type FM. And when we open it up, we can now see our order. Again, notice the customer, it's just a standard customer. So we're not going to be bringing customers into the system and see specific customers in our customer profile. Instead, you'll see information about the order number, the reference to the Amazon Seller Central. You'll see that in the description as well. And if we go to shipping, you'll see that our FedEx Ground has come in. If we go into addresses, you can see the address information as to where we're supposed to ship this. Now, keep in mind, this phone number does not allow us to contact the customer directly. This is an Amazon phone number. And just the same as this email address. If we click on this, that'll send an email through the Amazon Marketplace and then ultimately to the customer, so we can communicate through there. So Amazon's going to monitor these emails. They're making sure that communications go through them. Now, if we click Create Shipment, we'll click OK. We'll go over to Packages. We'll add a package. We'll put in the weight. If you're using Acumatica's WMS, you'll probably get the scale to automatically weigh it. Now we can see our tracking number and everything is prepared and the shipment's confirmed. Now, if we go back to Commerce and we go to Prepare Data and we click on Shipment, click Prepare, you can see a shipment's here. Again, we can click on number 1 here. That'll show the record under the Process Data screen. We'll check that and we'll click Process. Now again, you could see a message here. The message is that it needs to have the items that were in each shipment. So we'll click Close. We'll go back to the shipment. We'll click Correct Shipment. We'll add the item to that particular box, and we'll confirm the shipment. We'll go back to Prepare. And we'll run it. And we'll go back to Process this particular shipment record. And then we have another message here. We need to edit our substitution list for BC carriers, for FedEx Ground. So we'll go back to Commerce, go to Substitution Lists, and we go into SP carriers. We create a record for FedEx Ground and put in a possible value for Amazon Seller Central. And now we have a successful shipping record. Now what we can do is if we go back to Seller Central, we look at our order here and we refresh, you can see that it's changed now. This particular item, because it was part of the package that we shipped, we included it in that package in Acumatica's shipment right here. And because that item is shipped, it now has the status of shipped. Now, the last thing we could look at is our payment. So if we check this box and click Prepare, you can see there's one here. We'll click on that. That brings us to Process Data. And we'll process it. That'll be our payment information coming in from Amazon. Now, the first time we try that, we're going to get an error message. It's because we haven't mapped our payment method to an ERP payment method. So we'll click Close on that. We'll go to our Amazon Store settings, and we'll go to Payment Settings. And you won't see this the first time, but you will see it after a failed payment sync. You'll see the store payment method that Amazon's trying to provide us. So this is the payment method that's coming in from Amazon, and now we simply need to map it to a payment method here in Acumatica. I'm just going to use check here, and additionally, you can also pick what account you want to use. Typically, a check would go into my undeposited fund or some cash account that I'm going to reconcile with. I'm going to make deposits from, because I want to later reconcile the Amazon transactions with all the fees into what we're actually getting as a deposit. So we'll check that. We'll hit Save. We'll go back to Process Data, and we'll process again. And now you could see one additional step here with this error message. We need to map all of our fees. Again, these fees will come in to the Amazon store under the Payments tab as soon as I attempt this sync the first time. So let's close this. We'll go back to our Amazon store. We'll refresh. Go back to payment settings, and now you can see all of your different fees, and we're going to link them to entry types. And I went over to chart of accounts and I created different fees. I created it near bank service charges. And then what I'll do is I'll go into banking and I'll go into entry types and I'll link all of those to entry types. Now we have all our entry types. They're all disbursements, and these are the GL accounts that I created. The last thing you need to do is you need to make sure for the bank account that you're using, the cash account, that those entry types are there. So we go to entry types there, and we'll add and save it. And since these are getting deducted from our payment, the one other thing we need to do is we need to check off deduct for payment. We'll move that column in a little bit and scroll over, and we'll check all of our Amazon entry fees, the ones we just created, and save them. Now if we go back to the Amazon store and we do our lookup, you can see all your fees. So the first one we're going to link up is the CSBA fee. Then we can do our commission, then our gift wrap, and now we can save it. And then finally, if we go back to process, we'll now process this payment. Keep in mind, it's normal to get these error messages initially because that's what's populating these types, these payment types, these shipping method types. As soon as you get the type in there, you can map it to what's relevant in Acumatica. So now we have our payment. Let's click close on that. Let's go into receivables payments. And we could see our new payment here. Let's take a look at it. You can see payment amount is $63.76. That's the payment that came from Amazon, but we only applied $59.95 to the order because there was other charges there. And if we go to charges, you're going to see that $12 of charges, $12.89, were sent out to Amazon commission and the facilitator tax principal. And that essentially deducts from our payment. Now, if we go over to the sales order tab, it's still applied to the sales order. That will change once we convert the shipment into an invoice. Then it'll move over to application history where it's applied to the final invoice, transferred over. So now we have our payment from Amazon. So that's how we bring in a payment from Amazon after our order has been shipped out and Amazon's had a chance to process all the potential fees. So that's it. That's the Amazon connector for Acumatica. Certainly we didn't cover everything with the Amazon connector and all the different types of business workflows. But if you have any questions about this or anything else Acumatica, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again and for subscribing, and have a great day.